Hey guys, I've been doing these very chatty, just blah 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 videos lately. Kind of like it, kind of into it. Um, I need to get back on the YouTube train. I just hopped off for like a long time. Like when I took my little Christmas break, like the last thing I uploaded before Christmas was probably one of the baking videos. Let me look. It was either a baking video or it was my whatchamacall video. Starless Sea, which I thought was actually I feel like that before Christmas. Let's see. I guess actually my Big Sky Theories was my last video. And 62 people watched that. No one cares about the Big Sky Theories. I'm really happy though that my Big Sky Indigenous Backlash and Controversy video, that's getting a lot more attention. That's getting more attention than the theories that people had. I'm filming these videos on the same day, so you may or may not have just seen my newest Big Guy video. And I just took my hair out. It was giving me a headache. I need to I took my hair out and I literally just wet it, and I just did that. And that's what we're working with. Well, anyway, I have a bookshelf. I want to do a bookshelf tour for all my booktube babies. I know I have at least, because I consistently get like 10 or 11 views on my booktube videos. I know I have at least 10 booktube babies. My booktube babies. Speaking of booktube, I just have so much I want to talk about. I wanted to talk about this book that I read called, well, I didn't read it. It was the audiobook called The Spirits on Trad Street. Now, I read this during the Christmas season. And I was turning my time when I was kind of on break. And I was just I just wasn't uploading anything. And I wasn't, if you are my booktube baby, which I assume you are if you're still here, then you should know that I gave this 2 stars on Goodreads. If you don't have me on Goodreads, add me on Goodreads. If you don't have a Goodreads, I guess you're missing out. And now I'm just going to verbatim. Why did I say edit? Cancel. I'm not editing it. Can I just look at it? Okay. I almost gave it a 3. I would think, here, let me give you the truth. The truth of me reading or listening to this book, I enjoyed listening to it. I enjoyed listening to 95% of the book. And it really doesn't deserve overall a 2-star. But I just got so flustered with the ending. I just was so upset with the ending. I just couldn't give it higher. I was just no, let me just slate this book really fast. So let me talk about the whole book. Listening to the whole book, now is this book problematic? And I think that's a question too. So this book is called, by Karen White, The Christmas Spirits on Trad Street. Now, The Christmas Spirits on Trad Street is about this woman. Let me look up her name because I already forgot all of the characters and everything in the book. Is about Melanie Trenham. Melanie. So Melanie is the main character, and she can talk to spirits. Now, I didn't think that the whole book was going to be all about spirits, ghosts on every other page. But it was. It was spirits, ghosts on every other page. And I originally was thinking that this was going to be a buddy read for me and my mother. She tapped out because she doesn't really like spirits and ghosts and fantasy like that. So she tapped out reading it. So I was just listening to it by myself. And I liked it. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not really super into tons of ghost stories, but it's Christmas. I'm like, you know what? I like horror movies. I like spooky haunting things. And I felt this isn't really spooky. It's kind of corny. It's kind of like Ghost Whisperer. Do you remember that show with Jennifer Love Hewitt when she was the Ghost Whisperer? And it was really, really corny. It wasn't a scary show at all. You know what I mean? Or it gave me the same vibe. Reading this book gives me the same vibe. Does any of y'all watch Murdoch Mysteries? Sometimes Murdoch Mysteries goes a little dark, but no matter how dark they go, it's still a really corny show. It's still super duper cornball stuff. So that's what this book was kind of like, but I watch that. Like, I watch Murdoch Mysteries, like, when I go to my parents' house to hang out with them. They always have it on. I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing, I guess. But, so I am not against, like, a goofy, kind of just a feel-good, thing. And it was Christmas time. I was like, I was not trying to read anything deep. I wasn't. Let's be honest. I just got to the end of that, and I was just, like, irritated. So the whole story, you're probably like, okay, we're 5 minutes in. How long is this going to be? So the whole story is basically she talks to the ghost. There's ghosts in her house. And her ex is trying to, like, steal her house. He's trying to steal the treasure, like the historical treasure that's on another property that they have to visit. And it's a very kind of convoluted plot. It's hard to, let me just read the rundown because I started to read it. Okay. She should be focusing on her husband is handsome and awesome throughout the book. He's so sexy and hot. I really was into the descriptions of her husband. I was like, yeah, he's husband goals. I love him. Until the very end. Hold on. She should be focusing on Christmas with her husband and their twin babies. But the ongoing excavation of the old cistern in her back garden of her centuries-old historic Trad Street home has been a huge millstone, both financially and aesthetically. So she has to deal with that. So they're like digging up this old cistern because it was like a local professor wanted to do like, they're doing like basically like an archaeological dig in the middle of a backyard in Charleston because it's like a historical city. If you don't know, Charleston, South Carolina has a lot of old stuff from the early days of the American world. Okay, whatever. Colonial era. Excuse me, now I'm trying to talk and I'm like getting a thing bubbling up. Local students are thrilled by the possibility of unearthing more colonial. The local archaeology students are unearthing more colonial era artifacts at the cistern, but Melanie is concerned by the ghost connected to the cistern that have suddenly invaded her life and her house. And at least one of them is definitely not filled with holiday cheer. So one of them is evil. The guy is like an old Confederate guy. He's evil. And then there's like a young woman that I think he was married to her, but she cheated on him with a British soldier. There's a lot of historic tea that is spilled, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Again, it's a convoluted, kind of goofy, hot husband, adorable twins, cute dogs. Their dogs' names are like General Lee and like Bess, like Porgy and Bess. I think they have three. I think they have General Lee and Porgy and Bess. I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, those are her dogs. All the supporting characters are kind of interesting. Her jealousy of her sister is interesting. The book was enjoyable to listen to. But then we get to the end. So the whole time there's this thing about like, Melanie, you need to stop keeping secrets because we're all here to love you and support you. How can we I'm trying to do a Charleston accent. We're all here to love you and support you. But if you don't tell us what's going on, how can we help you? We're better as a team. La la la. And it's like, okay, we get that. That's the central point of the book. Like, she's too independent because growing up, her dad was an alcoholic and her mom was working a lot or something. So she became really independent and like just taking care of herself. And that's why she was like, not that like nowadays it's super late to get married in your 40s, but it is kind of somewhat late. So she got married in her 40s because she was just so headstrong. She didn't want to settle down really. So moving right along. So we get to the end of the story. And she goes to the old plantation or whatever. They're creeping around like historic. This is another thing that I said like in the updates on Goodreads. Is like, I like the story. I like a lot of aspects of the story, but I don't love that they're like creeping around in historic plantations. As a like black female living in the South, I don't know. I'm like, I don't really want to imagine creeping around an old plantation. Maybe that's just me. But so they're like creeping around and doing all this stuff. So she goes there by herself in the middle of first of all, a snowstorm. Not just like the real normal snow that we get in the South. A snowstorm in the middle of Charleston. I just want to let you guys know that I live in North Carolina. Charleston, South Carolina isn't that far away. We don't get snow like that. Like, we don't get snow like that. We don't get storms like that. So, so she's in the middle of this once in a lifetime snowstorm. She goes all by herself and she's trying to get all this stuff. And like her husband and her sister have to come rescue her. Now, when her husband gets there, he gets hurt or whatever. And like, even though he's hurt and injured, he makes time to be mad at her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's hurt and injured. They like get the old-timey treasure. They conquer the ex-husband, the evil ex-husband, or the evil ex-boyfriend or whatever, and his brother. They conquer those two. They get the jewels. Even though she went there alone, he did eventually come because the sister was like, she's going alone. Jack, we have to help her. You know, like this. So they show up and save her and save the day. And not any other story, them showing up, save her and save the day, that would be all. That would be it. But she decided, like, because this is a series and we need an ongoing conflict to pull you to the next novel, we're going to make him mad at her. So he's mad, like, you risked your life and I told you if you ever did this kind of thing again, we were over and done. So he's like, first of all, getting over the flu. He's injured because he fell in some sort of trap mine shaft situation, grave covered in a piece of wood, and he fell through down to the ground and snow fell on him. Blah, 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 blah. So he's injured, getting over the flu, and he makes time to be like, I'm separating from you. And it's like the end of the story, I was not expecting it. I was like, la la la, it's a little goofy story. Then we get to the end. And he literally is like in the hospital, like, I don't want to see her. Don't let her come in my room. I don't want to talk to her. We're separated. Really, really, really. I was like, are you joking me right now? This is your little twist ending, bitch. I was so mad. I was so mad. So she's doing this in the story, and I just can't. I'm flustered. I'm like going back and forth between referencing the actual author and the character. I just was mad because in this world, it just didn't make sense. His reaction to me didn't make sense. I think his reaction to me was just too, like, it just frustrated me. Okay, like the expectation on Melanie to suddenly get over decades of learned independence from trauma from her childhood. She's supposed to get over decades of that because we've been married for 3 years and you should be able to depend on me now. I was so mad. He literally moves out of the house. They have to share custody of the twins. I was like, are you joking? And I'm like, this is like terrible. Like, especially if you're reading this as like a fun, frivolous Christmas novel, this is like not the heartwarming ending that you wanted, right? So and so maybe she did deserve 2 stars because even the level of goofiness of the novel and enjoyability of the novel is totally usurped by this really depressing ending. And let me read to you how I wrote my review. And I think it's important because I've obviously it's been like a month since I read this. So like, I don't remember every single detail of why I was mad. Okay, so let me just read it. I'm just going to read it verbatim. Fuck it. Honestly, I almost gave this book a higher rating until the end. Dramatic ellipses. I was enjoying the humor and ghosty hijinks of the book, but the ending truly pissed me off. I just cannot understand why Melanie would go alone after all the fucking arguing everyone has done with her through the whole book about trying to do everything alone. Also, Jane should have put her foot down. I'm like screaming now because I'm getting like triggered all the memories of why I was so mad. Jane should have put her foot down. Okay. Also, Jane should have said, you can't have my keys because she drives Jane's car. Jane gives her the keys to her car. And even though everyone was like, no, don't go alone. Don't do things alone. She gives her the keys to the motherfucking car, bitch. And I was just like, okay, Jane, it takes 2 to fucking tango. Don't give Melanie the keys. Stand up to her. God damn it. So So she said, you can't have my keys unless I come with you. That's what Jane should have said. No one will stand up to her in the moment. That's what I'm saying. Then I understand why Jack would be mad, but to separate over it, exactly like I was saying, dumb. And it felt like she just wanted to have a cliffhanger for the next book. And this is what gets me. Because Melanie has a cousin. She is a no good snake of a cousin who is like one of those women who's like, she's like a Carly Kloss. She's like, I'm married to someone associated with a Trump supporter or like evil. I'm married into an evil family, but like, they're nice to me. Oh, yeah, I hate it. Okay, listen. And so comparing the situation to her cousin's husband also makes no sense. Rebecca, the cousin in question, is married to a literal... she's married to literally the villain of the fucking novel. The villain of the fucking novel who keeps trying to steal shit from Melanie and ruin Melanie's life and take the house. And Rebecca says throughout the novel... And let me not even get there yet. Okay, she's married to him. While he's like, and they keep having these conversations about like blood is thicker than water and like, and being, you know, having your relatives back and all this kind of stuff. So Rebecca is married to a literal bad person. I said, he lies, he steals, he betrayed his own brother, he treats all his in-laws like shit. He treats all his in-laws like shit. True story. He bullies people and he cheats on her. She found out he was cheating on her when she was pregnant. And in the end, she says, but I love him. I love him. That's like the accent. I love him. And then she says, she frequently throughout the book says idiotic, stupid shit like, you know, Mark always gets what he wants. Like, you dumb bitch, why are you married to an evil motherfucker who will do anything to get what he wants? That's, yes, bitch, he gets what he wants, but that he shouldn't. He's an asshole. Okay, anyway. That's... You know, Mark always gets what he wants. That's because he will, and this is what I said in my review, that's because he will do anything and hurt anyone to get it, you dumb apologist. I wanted to say you dumb motherfucking bitch, but I didn't. And then I said, and yet, Melanie going alone is separation worthy. Like, so Rebecca will stay married to her cheating piece of shit husband. But Melanie's husband should separate from her. Are you serious? But Melanie going alone is separation worthy. While they have twin toddlers to think about. Twin toddlers. Toddlers, bitch. Like, these kids were like 2 to 3 in the book. Like, they were little. I guess the saying is, stand by your man for a reason. Those never-ending chances and forgiveness don't go both ways. Hello! They don't go both ways. If you're a female, you don't get to be the villain and stay married. Notice most female villains are single and ready to mingle because men don't stay for that kind of stuff. You kidding? It just made me so mad. It just made me mad. I got unnaturally pissed over this. I was just so effing mad. I was just so fucking mad. I was so fucking mad. Who is this coming here at 2:42? Is this my sister home already? Well, anyway. I'm like looking out of the window to the parking lot. Anyways. Girl, trash. I was like so upset by that. I was like, no way. They should have had Rebecca separate. That's my opinion. They really should have. Anyway. Bye. That's all I have to say. I think my sister's coming in here, so I gotta skedaddle.